saha viryankaravavahai tejasvinavadhitamasto ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Friends, today's topic is yoga for cancer. There is a lot of theoretical background that you can study from understanding the pathophysiology of cancer. We have elaborated that in our Yoga for Cancer book also. First 2-3 chapters in our book on Yoga for Cancer. I would like you to study that carefully, to study the concepts from modern medical understanding about what is the way we need to understand cancer to help us handle the cases. So the style of understanding what is cancer, how to handle cancer is presented in such a way that we will be able to see the relevance to the yoga practices. So I would like to, in this presentation now also, I would like to give you a very quick introduction to the understanding of cancer, which helps us to move ahead to understand the role of yoga, which we understand as samatvam, etc. So, what is cancer? Therefore, this is how we would like to understand cancer. It is a form of imbalance, because our definition of yoga is balance, samatvam. So, how the balance is created, how the balance is going to be corrected, and this concept of prasava and pratiprasava. What is prasava? How the imbalance has developed, and with this understanding from the way we would like to understand cancer, we will be able to put up the reversibility model also. Therefore, let us understand cancer as an imbalance. Imbalance between what? Between the multiplication of cells and destruction of cells. What we, as all of us know, continuously we all have cell. Every cell in our body is going through a process of a programmed cell generation, maintenance, and death. No cell in our body is as long as our life. Every cell has its lifespan. New cells are getting formed. They may live for that particular period of time for which they have been programmed, and they have to go through this programmed cell death, which we call as apoptosis, the destruction, the dissolution. I don't even want to use the word destruction. It is a dissolution. The cells dissolve themselves, disintegrate themselves. That is the programmed new cell formation and cells. So new cells are formed, they live, then they dissolve. New cell disintegrate, new cell live and disintegrate. So each cell has its own lifespan. Am I audible? Is it okay? Kutsala, is my voice audible and everything going on right now? Am I
Muted.
audible?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you.
Didi, yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll
So I'm
continue.
going to mute myself.
Okay. So this programmed cell death is called apoptosis. Every cell in our body has its own lifespan. For example, the cells in the inner lining of the mouth has a very short lifespan of even a few hours. Gastric lining cells has got a lifespan about 12 hours. White blood cells 4 days, red blood cells 100 days, bone cells maybe a year. So like skin cells maybe half a day or 2 days. So like this, every cell has its own lifespan and it has to die when it has to die. That is the first thing we need to understand. So what is happening in cancer? In cancer, there is an imbalance created between the number of new cells that are forming and they are not dying. I am not going to spend much time on this slide. All these data are available. We know that they we know that cancer is becoming more and more prevalent, and the reasons for that we'll be talking later because of the lifestyle. This is very much a lifestyle disease, which as we are going into the fast lifestyle, we are all going through this wantingly, unwantingly. We are exposed to all these stressors. Stressors could be external and internal. External stressors are all the pollutants that we breathe in, that we get exposed to, and in fact, yesterday there was an infertility conference in which they say that the mobile phones are causing infertility. And we know that smoking is injurious to health, and look at the number of cancers that smoking can cause. Pollutants, stressor, outside stressors and inside stressors. Inside stressors are the ones which create a big problem. What do we mean by inside stressors? Our understanding of uncontrolled, long-standing, suppressed emotions. I'll be talking more about that. These are some of the electron microscope pictures of the cancer cells which are going on in multiplying in our body. So we said the imbalance is between the new cells that are getting formed and apoptosis. So now we can see when a cancerous cell goes on accumulating large number of cells, uncontrolled multiplication of large number of cells in whichever organ is called cancer. There are other names for cancer. Sarcoma is another name. I'm not going to spend much time on that. So now you can see, for a large number of cells to accumulate, what could be the cause? Either the number of cells that are getting formed are too many, too fast, or the number of cells that are going through apoptosis is less or not happening. Basically in cancer, this is the problem. In cancer, the problem is the apoptosis is not happening. So, say for example, there are millions of cells undergoing continuous new cell formation and destruction throughout our lifetime, starting from our childhood right up to our death. And when such large number of cells are multiplying, going through this cell program, which is all programmed in our genes, obviously there could be some occasional cells that may escape this program. So those cells which escape this program of apoptosis are very few, and these are the ones that once they get into the cycle of not getting destroyed, they become the mother cell and they form their own generation of daughter cells and they become immortal cells. These are called immortal cells which have escaped apoptosis and they go on multiplying, and that's what is cancerous growth, cancerous lump, which develops a capacity to rapidly multiply and form, grow, spread, develop, attract more and more blood vessels, all that processes that happen in cancer. So, but what happens in our body is, as soon as there is some degree of small damage to a cell, the repair mechanisms come into action, and if a good repair happens, that damaged cell disturbed cell is immediately taken out of the system, then the system is growing all right. If the repair does not happen, say for example, a person is a smoker. This smoking causes damage to the DNA inside the cell. And as soon as the DNA is damaged inside the cell, immediately intracellular mechanisms repair that, and the cell goes into become a healthy cell. But in case the repair mechanism doesn't happen, immediately the cell has to go through apoptosis. It has to go through its natural dissolution or necrosis, or again a natural dissolution. If that does not happen, then a faulty repair happens, then that cell escapes this apoptosis, and that becomes an immortal cell. That becomes a cell which has escaped this phenomenon of natural dissolution, and that is the one which is going to form the lump. So what is happening is the growth has to happen, death has to happen, replication is happening, normal apoptosis, balance and health. So if this balance gets disturbed, then the generation of cells go on increasing. What causes this? We now know the cause for this is very clearly the damage to the DNA, which occurs due to our lifestyle. In lifestyle, we now know lots and lots of environmental external factors, which includes diet, the atmospheric pollution, which we call as carcinogens, the pollutants, additives, the preservatives, packing material, even the electromagnetic radiations, the air pollution. So many factors, hydrocarbons have all been implicated, and nuclear radiation, which all of you very clearly know, are all the external factors that cause this problem, and internal factor being the stress. All these are traceable to the mind. Therefore, we understand that cancer is also one of the stress-borne psychosomatic disease. And our understanding that, which I have been talking in the previous classes, is it's all in the mind in the form of responses, in the form of emotional responses to demanding situations of life, which I'm not going to spend more time, which we have talked already at length in earlier classes. So situation, response, emotions, suppressed emotions is the one which is causing this, and therefore our aim in yoga is to do cooling down. Let me tell you a very quick example of one of my patients. She came with a very early breast cancer around the age of 32. She got diagnosed, and she comes and talks to me and says, "Look, madam, I know why I have got cancer at such an young age. You may be wondering why I could have got it, but I know why I have got it, because I have gone through such a deep emotional deprivation that I have been suppressing it, holding it." And her story is very interesting. She is coming from a very rich family, and she was going to get married to a more respectable, more richer family, very respectable parents, going into a much more respectable, not only financially, otherwise also very highly socially placed, respectable family. So as usual in India, we all tell them, look, you're going to such a respectable family, you should behave very well, you should become the family, you should be liked by everyone, you should you should become the lovable daughter-in-law of the family. It was all the usual advice given by the father. And this girl comes home, gets married. It's a joint family, big family, very respectable and quite well off also, quite rich. And she literally, word by word, follows this. She says, I became such a lovable, such a wanted girl in the whole family, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brothers-in-law, co-sisters, everybody I was giving, taking care of them so well that I became a very friendly, very popular daughter-in-law of the family. Everybody loves me, everybody wants me, and I serve them with full care, full love, full concern, to the extent that everybody wants me to serve them coffee, serve them food, and I enjoy doing that. And it became so much that there were days when I was just giving, and I probably would have gone without even having my meal. Nobody would even find out whether I have had my meal, whether I have had my coffee or tea or my breakfast, because I am always so cheerful, happy, friendly, talking, chit chatting, and welcoming people, and they just enjoy that. And it happened that my needs, my husband is a very busy man, businessman, goes away, and obviously he has no time even to talk to me or find time for me. There is nobody for me. There is not. There were days when I have gone without my breakfast or lunch, but nobody would know what is happening inside me. So this deep-seated need in me, which I had continuously suppressed, has shown up to me as cancer. This is a typical type C personality. In fact, it is called pathological goodness. Too good, too good. I care, sensitive to the people around. I never express my feelings. And that inside, it's opposite of type A personality, cardiac personality, where they are all the time expressive, blasting people, shouting at people, and no, they are demanding people. Whereas type C personalities are the ones which are very loving, caring, and sharing, have their own inner needs unsatisfied, and that the soft, gentle, motherly type of personality. So this girl says that. So what am I going to advise her? Am I going to advise, my God, why you should have behaved like that? She would even give an example. See, it comes to the extent, madam, that one day my brother-in-law comes, it's on the chair, says, Bhabi, coffee, karke. There are so many servants in the house, but I have to rush and get coffee at an odd time of the day. So this has become such a big thing for her. So what I want you people to understand is, you have to go into the life of these people when you really start talking to them and find out what emotions are they suppressing, what is the cause of the what is the situation that is causing the emotional reaction, and you have been continuously understanding it is what is important is not the situation, but what is that speeded up emotion on which I have lost mastery. And what should I advise this girl who is going through such wonderful giving, sharing, loving type of personality? So I cannot tell her, no, from tomorrow onwards you should don't care for them, you should run away from this, you should just start blasting them if they irritate you and all that. No. So we have to teach her how to get back into that state where what she is doing is a height of probably a human sattvic nature. So how to go beyond sattva, how to come out of her sensitivity to not to react but just continue doing what she is doing or even do things better. This is a very important lesson which you can get only from Bhagavad Gita. Sattva and sattva atita. Sattvic guna, if you are rajasic and tamasic and demanding, then you tell them, okay, you move towards sattva, you care for others, you love, you care, you become sensitive to others. But what is her problem? Oversensitivity, over cautiousness. So this is where we have to make her understand the concept of gunatita. Gunatita, go beyond sattva. In other words, situation, response, vega. So no response, but carry on doing whatever you are doing. That is what is prashamana. Prashamana here is how to calm down the mind, how to slow down the mind, how to rest the mind and not getting upset or get stuck in our emotional reactions. This you have been understanding continuously. What is very important for us to move on is to understand the concept of how to help these people to recognize and invoke their inner healing potential of trying to help themselves to come out of their uh, problem. Before I go on to this, while we are still in the topic of the cancer, I want you to understand one more point, that when these new cells are getting multiplied and apoptosis has to happen, when this dissolution has to happen, if some cell escapes the apoptotic program, there is an immune surveillance. Our own immune system has got enormous capacity to recognize that abnormal cell which has escaped and engulf that and swallow it off and destroy that and throwing out of the system. So this imbalance is not only in the programmed cell multiplication and cell destruction, but multiplication and cell on one side and immune system on the other side of the balance. So if the immune system is efficient and can immediately recognize this abnormal cell which has escaped the cell cycle, immediately it will go engulf that and destroy that and throw it out of the system. So therefore, our understanding is two things. One is the the rate of multiplication has gone up because of the oncogenes or the irritants or the carcinogenic substances which increase this genetic programming and then multiply too fast and change the genetic programming that apoptosis does not happen. And once the apoptosis has not happened, the immune system is also not efficient enough to destroy that. So if you look at the two sides of the balance, now take away this multiplication and destruction, but uh, put cell growth on one side and immune system on the other side. So this imbalance is also the major factor that is causing the problem. So the immune system efficiency may have come down, which causes the problem, and the rate of apoptosis, escaping this apoptosis and rate of cell multiplication has increased. So too many cells and immune system is not efficient. So why this happens? The cell growth increases because of external factors. Why the immune system becomes weak? That is because of the internal emotional factors. So this is how the imbalance is happening. So if the immune system becomes weak because of internal emotional stress and cell growth increases, apoptosis does not happen because of the external carcinogens, then we end up with this imbalance and then the multiplication happens. So what is our aim in yoga? In our yoga, it should be to work mainly on this internal emotional factor and also see that we lead a clean life and then change our diet pattern, change our external agents which are causing this external irritation and change our lifestyle. So this is the major area. That's why we keep telling when we go through therapy for cancer, we do complementary therapy, we do integration, we do holistic therapy, where we have to go through the modern medical management techniques to see that the large number of cells that have grown in large numbers are either removed surgically or destroyed by chemotherapy or radiation therapy, and newer drugs, more specifically designed after understanding, is going on evolving over years. So this is for modern medicine. The cell burden to be immediately reduced. Whereas this internal stress factor, emotional factor, the immune system maintenance factor or immune system strengthening factor has to be done by internal techniques. This is where we talk about yoga and Ayurveda, naturopathy and all that. So that we hope to see that the system becomes corrected and the imbalance gets corrected and the fighting capacity improves and the abnormal cells get corrected. So what we really tell the participants is that look, and the large number of cells are there, they are all weak cells, your own body cells. They have not come from outside. Please remember that a cancer cell is a weak cell but multiplying too rapidly, has lost its functional capacity, and it's trying to become a parasite by just trying to invade, but you have your immune system. So say there are 1,000 abnormal cells, you have millions of your immune system, which you have to strengthen, which you have to activate, which you have to really give them strength and courage and confidence. It's something we give the example of becoming a soldier. For a participant, when you talk to them for the first time, you should put in enormous amount of confidence and courage in them to face the situation. So what is the best way to put across to them is, yes, you've got this abnormal cell sitting there. It's something like a big war that you have to face. So you have to become a warrior. Who is a warrior or a soldier? When he has to go for the war, his family puts them tilakam and then makes a big celebration so that they are not sure whether he's coming back or not. But therefore, all the preparation, psychological preparation from the family, from the soldier is already there that he may die. But he is going with absolute fearlessness to face death. But until the last minute on the warfare, he will never think of dying. He will never accept death. He will fight, because even if a single thought comes to him that I may die, he will not be able to work efficiently. So I know that I may die. I have accepted that I may die, but I am absolutely no fear of death. This is the most important concept that you have to work on. Let me give you another example. We had a conference in Australia where we had invited a person, Mr. Gowler. I would like you to go into this website. He runs a big center. Their group now runs a very big center in Melbourne on the banks of the sea, on the sea beach, and it's a beautiful center where he runs this program. And in this program, what they do is first give the example of Mr. Gowler. So we had invited him for this conference, and he gave his own history. What was his history? He had a osteogenic sarcoma of his left femur, which is an extremely painful condition, a bone cancer. And by the time it was in 1960s or 70s, obviously it was technology had not advanced. By the time it got detected, it had spread to the liver and other organs. So doctors had told him that, okay, this has spread so fast, I don't think we can cure you, but we can definitely amputate your leg, give you pain relief, but your life will be counted in months. So this man says, the first thing that somehow that came from within me was that I felt, no, I shall not die of this disease. If the pain is becoming intolerable, I'll get it amputated, but I shall not die of this disease. Is the first thing. Somewhere some courage came from within me. I started working with myself, and then he had come to India also, I believe, earlier. He knew meditation, he knew yoga, he knew all about prana and all that. He had traveled to Far East also, where he had learned some pranic energy management techniques, pranic healing and others. So he said that I am going to heal myself. And he says they went through very various phases, and there was a time when the pain became very bad. Then suddenly I remembered something which I had heard from a walking monk when I was in Rishikesh, and he had said something very interesting which I could apply now to myself. Yes, my pain is troubling me. I am not able to sit for meditation. I am not able to heal myself. Pain, 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 pain. Suddenly it occurred to me, yes, I remembered what he had said. I am not this body. So I said, okay, pain is for the body. Pain is coming as a nerve impulse which is going to my brain. I have pain. Body is having pain, nerve impulses, but I need not suffer. So I have pain, but must I suffer? Was the question that I worked on, and through that I was able to now help myself to completely get into deep meditation, and that made all the difference, he says. So the theoretical understanding that we have to tell our participants is, first come out of that fear, become a soldier, where your immune system will now start becoming strong. If we have a big warfare, and in this warfare we are taking the help from the outside countries also, because our own body cells are not strong enough to, our own army is not big enough, so we are taking help from the neighboring countries also. So neighboring country people will come and do a big amount of help, that is all the surgery, chemotherapy and the radiotherapy. But what are my soldiers doing? It is my patriotic soldiers who have to do all the job. So if I am sitting in fear, if I am just depending on external agent like a dummy, my cells also become dummy. And you now know how mind is so very powerful, that if you thought that there was a lot of emotional upsurge which is persisting, suppress, if it could change the program and create a problem, can I use the same pathway to strengthen my immune system, to give enormous courage and positive attitude and fighting spirit to my cells? And here I also want you to read that book by Deepak Chopra on quantum healing, which was the first book that he wrote, which became the bestseller, in which he quotes a very interesting research where he was able to collect large number of a few of these patients unknowingly cure themselves. These are called spontaneous regression cases. So somehow a group of scientists got together and started looking at all the records from several hospitals from the country over last 10-15 years, and they could get documents of almost 70 to 75 such spontaneous regression cases out of thousands of them. So this just happens somehow, so we don't know. So they just go on to record and they are just there. So these researchers, they collected this group of 70 patients who had completely healed themselves, or whatever region naturally healed without any explanation that is available. And they wrote back to these people, and the answer that came was very, very interesting. Out of 100 questions that were asked to them, two questions stood out very prominent. One is, when they were asked, how do you think you would have healed? What was your mental attitude when all this happened? 50% of them said, yes, I have got cancer, but I shall not die of cancer. Somehow I said that and I could heal. That probably could have healed. Other 50% said that, array, doctors are saying I've got cancer, but I have no cancer. He didn't even accept the diagnosis cancer, and somehow that helped them to heal. Both is pointing to the fact that it is the mind, the positive attitude, the strength within that is going to help. So all this is very well written. Large number of books are available about positive thinking, strength of mind, mind-body medicine, and quality of life. Large number of data is now available even in cancer. and how cancer survivors also can prevent recurrence through this. All this data is available. But here is a science, the Indian science, which has got a very systematic program of working on this. So what does Patanjali say about it? How do we invoke this inner healing potential? For that, we have to understand this concept of dharana, dhyana, samadhi and sayama, where in this integrated approach of yoga therapy, we have to help them to go into that state of sayama. Sayama is basically a form methodology for obtaining siddhi. So what is a siddhi? That what is a siddhi I want now? I have to use my internal mechanisms to make my immune system become so very strong that it will not allow any abnormal cell to grow, and it will just go and attack and destroy that. That is the electron microscope picture, where the abnormal cancer cells are being attacked by beautiful, fluffy, Pomeranian dog-like looking, beautiful, natural killer cells, as we call them, which will go and attack and destroy. So these immune cells should become so strong, in large numbers, so capable, that it will scavenge away any abnormal cell that is there. So how do we invoke that? How do we strengthen that? How do we activate that? Is by going into that state of siddhi. For any siddhi to happen, Patanjali says we should get into that state of sayama. What do we mean by sayama? Sayama is dharana trayam ekatra sayamaha. What three things should happen together? Dharana, dhyana and samadhi. Your understanding of dharana is you take up a single thought, single picture or single word, single letter, and don't allow any thinking to happen apart from that single thought. Say for example, you got the Om picture, you are not thinking about Om also. That is ekagrata. You are focusing only on a single picture or the word or the letter Om, 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 picture only and nothing other than that. Desha bandhaha chittasya dharanam, where you bind yourself to that particular space in your mind with eyes closed or eyes open, and don't allow the mind to wander around that also. Fixing the mind is dharana. And in dhyana, what do? You allow that single thought to diffuse, 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 so that between two, say for example, you are doing Om Dharana. Om, 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 no thoughts, no other thoughts, absolutely no thoughts, completely fixed on that. So there is speeded up repetition of a single thought bound into one small zone in your mind or on the picture, and now you have to slowly diffuse that. Pratyaya ekadanata dhyanam. That means now Om becomes Om, Om, not bound to a space but diffusing away. Small Om becoming a huge Om, big Om, expanded Om, occupying the entire space in front of you, entire space around you. So that sound wave is now diffusing away, and there is space created between one Om and another Om. Om, 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 no binding, it's diffused, expanded and slowing down. So expansion and slowing down are the features that differentiate dharana from dhyana. Dhyana is expansion and slowness. Dharana is constriction and speed. So when you took the dharana thought, that thought is the one which is going to become identified. Say for example, I think I had given you this example earlier. I had a patient whose BP fell down very drastically. When I asked him how did it happen, he said, Madam, when I was doing home meditation, I suddenly did not know what was happening. When I opened my eyes, everyone in the hall had left. and I had become Om, he says. I had become Om. That is the state of Samadhi where the I, the observer who becomes identified, who is going on enjoying the dharana and dhyana and Om. I am enjoying the Om, Om, Om is dissolved. So I don't know what had happened, almost like a sleep. That is Samadhi. And when I came out, I realized it was not sleep, but it was a state where I had merged in Om. It's such a fantastic experience. So this is Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So what do we do here? Then, in fact, his BP fell down very drastically after that. This is the path to reach Siddhi, says Patanjali. He gives an example. Take a cotton wool and then focus your mind on cotton wool, cotton wool, cotton, 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 fluffy cotton, tightly packed up cotton, 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 and then slowly make it cotton. Allow the cotton fibers to diffuse, 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 flying away and then diffuse, and no other thoughts. 20 minutes you are supposed to hold on to that thought, and then somehow you merge in that cottonness. You became the cotton psychologically. That makes you fly in the air, he says. That's the mechanism of overcoming gravity. You become like a cotton wool which is flying around, and your body starts flying around, is the power of Siddhi. So this is what we want our participants to understand. For that, lot of preparation, absolute fearlessness, suppressed emotions, suppressed anxiety, suppressed depression. So all that we have to work on. Help them through asana, pranayama, meditation, cleansing techniques, all that. Working at the physical level, prana level, mind level, intellectual level, emotions level, to help them to reduce the speed at all levels, and then take them to this dharana on this picture. So bring their mind to the point where whichever cancer abnormal cells that may be there, and then give them this picture and tell them to focus on that, focus on that, focus on that, and then imagine your natural killer cells, intense focusing on only your healthy natural killer cells or the immune cells which are moving around like beautiful fluffy cells all around, and then focus, 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 and then slowly expand that natural killer cell, expand that cell to become so big. In fact, this is a very interesting example I would like you to talk. One of the cricketers was asked, how could you make so many runs in such a short thing and you have become one of the toppers? He says, see, the ball for me is not the size of the cricket ball which you see now. As I'm playing, 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 my ball becomes so huge, it's something like a football, and therefore it's not at all difficult for me to hit it. What has happened to him? He has done dharana and dhyana on his ball. So that's what we have to teach our participants. So your natural killer cells, focus, 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 expand, 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 expand. They are so huge that you just get lost in that mood, and that is what makes that siddhi possible, that your natural killer cells start jumping around and then doing their job much better, and that is how the healer has to happen. Healing should happen. So this is what we call as sankalpa, and this can only happen after we have taken them into a state of preparing them through concentration and help them to go through this Trayamekatra Sayamaha. So whether you do it through physical practices which helps to cleanse the system, or work through the prana or the mental state, all these should help them to work on themselves to reach that state of samadhi. So therefore we need very subtle techniques. diet is, we have talked about this. We start with some Sukshma Vyayamas, then go to Asana, Kriya, instant relaxation technique. So I'm not going to spend much time on this diet component. I would like you to read there is a lot of data available on what are the protective foods of good vegetables, organically grown fruits and vegetables, and all these we all know. And in yoga we talk about the guna on diet. Expansion and slowness is the Annamaya Kosha effect that can happen even as far as diet is concerned. Then we come to very deep relaxation techniques, which is the preparation for our mind to be brought through ekagrata, through breathing exercises, deep relaxation techniques, pranayama. Then we go on to subtler and subtler techniques, where in MIRT, cyclic meditation, PET, mind sound resonance technique, and MEMT, etc., where we help them to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So physical level practices, of course, are very necessary to prepare work on the part of the body where there is stiffness, etc., to improve their mobility, prevent adhesions after surgery and during radiotherapy, etc. Then these are the Shithilikarana Vyayamas: front bending, back bending, side bending, rotation, clockwise, anti-clockwise, which work on that. Then we move on to yogasanas, where we talk about sthira, chira, sukha, which are all very familiar. Most important, when you give a stretch, at the end of the stretch we have to do that let go relaxation, prayatna, shaithilya, ananta samapattibhyam, about which you are all familiar. So when we teach asanas itself, already our mind should go deep into the sick part of the body, and then help them to do deep internal rest through prayatna, shaithilya, and tuning to the expansion, that they help them to merge in that non-dual state of the mind. These are the three sutras that you have to remember when you are teaching asanas. So, and we move on further to make them, prepare them. In fact, even to prepare them with basic asanas, basic pranayama, basic meditation, suitably tailor-made to their capacity, will help them to move on to this PET and other practices. Otherwise, PET doesn't help at all, because they can't feel that subtle sensations of prana at all. So, in pranic energization technique, which I hope you are all learning, we have to go into subtle level. What is the entrance exam for a person to be able to go to PET? If when they are doing their pranayama, they have to go so calm, so slow. Shvasa prashvasayoho gatirvichedaha, pranayamaha, slow breathing, slow breathing, slow breathing, that when you teach them Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, alternate nostril breathing, their awareness is so much subtle that they should be able to do Nadi Shuddhi without using the fingers. So can you do this experiment for yourself and see whether you can exhale through the left, inhale through the left, exhale through the right, inhale through the right, without using your fingers. That is a subtle amount of mastery, deeper mastery, which you can manipulate at the upper part of the nose and the palate, to be able to switch from right to left, left to right, without using the fingers. If a person becomes capable of doing that, then he becomes very capable of moving on to the PET, and which becomes an effective practice. So in PET, what we try to tell them through mudras is to be able to become familiar with that magnet-like pulling effect of the prana, which they start becoming aware of at a very subtle level. If somebody is not feeling the prana, the reason is they are making an effort to feel. So once they start feeling, I found it, what has really happened is that effort is gone. So you have to explain to them that it is the relaxation, effortlessness, slowness, let go that happens at the psychological level that makes you become capable of feeling the pranic energy at your Namaskara Mudra or the Chin Mudra, Chinmaya Mudra, Adi Mudra and all that, so that they really start feeling that prana, then circulation of prana, balance the prana, reduce the excess prana, remove the blocks in the passage of the prana, and finally come to the Shavasana where you get into deep rested state where the mind has become so very deeply rested, and in that rested state the explanation given is make the mind like a clean, clear, waveless lake. So cleansing through kriyas, cleansing through emotional management, cleansing through good life, cleansing through good diet is to clean the lake, remove all the dirt of the lake, and then remove the waves of the lake by this pranayama, relaxation techniques and all that, where even the single thought is not there. Come to a thoughtless state of the mind. Thoughtless state of mind is the clean, crystal clear water now. Now, waveless, clean, crystal clear water of your mind in which you drop in a single thought. What is that single thought? My immune system is strong. My NK cells are healthy. My immune system is strong. So repeat it 9 times. Like you put a drop of ink on a clear lake, it can diffuse into the entire lake. So like that, we should be able to allow this sankalpa to sink into our system and then work on that. So very similarly is the mind sound resonance technique. Most of our participants enjoy the MSRT much better than PET. So now we have included MSRT in all our daily routine, in all diseases, and they really get the maximum benefit out of that. Because it's something that you chant, you can feel probably the resonance much faster than being able to recognize the prana inside. So again here better concentration through dharana dhyana, and that resonance should be felt all over the body. Imagine that this vibrations of Mahamrutyunjay mantra, which is going to take you beyond death, fearlessness to face death, fearlessness to go beyond death, fearlessness to win over death, is the meaning of Mahamrutyunjay mantra, and that is going to invigorate each one of your natural killer cells through that resonance which is bombarding them, revitalizing them, energizing them, strengthening them to be able to expand and then work on that into a great state of total inner samadhi like experience through that resonance felt throughout the body, and that is the sayama that we have to work on. So we have understood this concept of dharana dhyana. So in MEMT, we try to help them to go to unfold some of the deep-seated stresses, deep-seated suppressed anger, deep-seated suppressed fear, deep-seated anxieties. Apart from this immediate anxiety, immediate depression, immediate suppressed fears related to the cancer and the fear of death. No, we have to go deeper into the cause. Talk to them, take them to a stage when even 10 years before the cancer started. What were the angers, fears, anxieties, tensions, excitements, and overwork, overload on the performance targets, deadlines, which I was going through, what all I have gone through. Unfold that in your counseling session. And now in this MEMT time, we will have to bring in some of those, open up those deep-seated negative and positive emotions, on, off, on, off, on, off, and through that trick the mind to get mastery over these emotions, and then help them to come to a state of samatva. And in fact, we have changed the MIRT and MEMT and ANAMS, etc., to a small extent as compared to the general program specifically for cancer patients, because here we should not bring in the death experience in our ANAMS and VISAC, which is normally there in the normal people, because they are already having enormous fear of death. Let us take them to talk about getting out of death fear, not to pass through the experience of death. So again in MIRT, we give pictures which are suitable for them. There is one book called Yoga Cancer Management, written many years ago by two authors, Simonton and Simonton. In this book, what they did was they asked the patients to draw pictures of what they can visualize: a macrophage engulfing a cancer cell, a NK cell engulfing the cancer cells. So some people drew some frog being eaten by a snake, or some people drew a rat being attacked by a snake, etc. So this, whatever is their imagery, they started using that to strengthen them and make them feel the strength inside. Where here we have used lot of divine pictures to help them to get into that capacity to picturize and depicturize. Switch on the picture, switch off the picture, and invoke the emotions to be able to work on that. So this way we work on PET and, oh sorry, I'm going backwards. So MIRT, MEMT, and through all these programs, we help ourselves to move on and get into this state where we get this picture of winning, how a cancer cell is dead, destroyed by the cancer cell, natural killer cells on which you have focused, and work on that. So as I said, we don't talk about, we have changed these instructions in our Visak practice, Vijnana Sadhana Kaushala. This also has got eight steps, where we, in normal people, we talk about the acceptance of death as the factor, but here we don't use this. We have changed this. It's all available in your Yoga for Cancer book, what instructions to give, what are the steps, etc. Please read that. We have got the new edited version of the Yoga for Cancer book, where all these instructions are more expanded. So never give up fighting, recognize the freedom as the basic nature, channelize the mind to heal yourself. These are all the things that we go through, and help them to go into that blissful state of experience where they will be able to heal themselves and work on themselves. So there's, we have these practices which you have to really work on and find some evidence, and this particular set of slides gives you the research evidence, which I'm not going to spend time on. It's all available in our website. If you want, I can send this presentation to you. I think you all have this with you in your system, which helps you to give this evidence to the non-believers. So all this research is meant to show and prove to the scientific world that whatever we have talked about, whatever we are teaching, is affecting, is helping them to improve their natural killer cells, improve their quality of life, improve their anxiety, reduce their anxiety level, reduce their depression level, reduce their fears, and basically give them lot of improvement in the quality of life, which is the most important thing that all these people will be looking for, and also reduce the toxicity of the side effect of the chemotherapy agents and toxicity of the uh, uh, radiation that is happening. As all of you know, that project that's going on in MD Anderson is basically on radiation patients. This is the time when they are easily available in a hospital setup, So during that time, if you can really teach them these techniques, we have demonstrated there is enough data from the MD Anderson data also, where we have been able to show that their toxicity reduces and they can cope up much better with the radiation, and healing is much better. So with this, let me stop here and take any questions if there are any. Lot more data is available. It's for all our studies, our PhD students who have worked on this. So let me stop here, Vatsal and friends, and see if we have any questions to be answered.
Thank you, Didi. Very nice presentation.
Thank you. Any questions coming up?
Not yet.
Okay, if no questions.
Yeah, looks like no questions so far.
So you have all seen this DVD on yoga for cancer before, in which I have done it. PET Dharana Dhyana will be different for cancer. Is that your question?
Yeah,
yes. The concept of Dharana, Dhyana, Sanyama is not different, but for cancer patients you use suitable imagery. Not everybody has to use Om imagery, Om picture only. You can use this imagery of the macrophages, imagery of a natural killer cell. You can pull out a lot of these pictures and ask them to focus on that. But if that is not rewarding and enjoyable, use any other picture, basically to train the mind to go into that state of deep quietude. Using a divine picture or a respectable picture like Om or even God's pictures is even better many a times to be able to help them to go into that deep state of inner quietude, Anandamaya Kosha, and then put in this sankalpa.
Didi, there is one more question. How
Where
many?
I'm not seeing that. You can read it, Vatsala.
Okay. Yeah. How many research studies have been done on cancer?
In Prashanti, we have had 4 PhD students. The first one was the work by Raghavendra Rao, which is the one which is seen here, where we started yoga from day 1 of diagnosis and took them through the entire period of surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy, pre-chemotherapy, post-chemotherapy, and followed them up all the way along. This was our first study. Then came the next study. Each PhD student has to publish 3 papers. So this was a 3 papers or even more he published. Then came Vadiraja study where we looked at during the radiation in advanced cancer patients, breast cancer patients. Then he came out with 3 papers where he looked at some stress measures. Then Banerjee's work was on where he looked at the DNA repair capacity in radiation damage. What we showed was radiation by itself can damage the DNA, and through yoga we were able to see that the DNA damage was much lesser in the radiation therapy in the yoga group. Then came the 4th PhD by Amrit, who did the study on survivors, cancer survivors. So each of them publishing 3 papers. This is from our institution. There are many of these, all these are breast cancer. And now from MD Anderson study, our first study, R52 or something, we had 1 paper which got published. Now RO1 which is going to get completed, which is a 5 4 billion project, 4 million project study, which is on 300 yoga and 300 stretch group. That's going to get published. That's going to be the biggest contribution. Okay. All over the world. Valued customer. Indra, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Namaste.
Didi.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. I will write email about future presentations.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Didi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.